During the home buying process, there is a chance that the home you are trying to buy may not appraise. In today's video, I'm going to give you some practical advice and options as a first-time home buyer for situations like this. I'm Nicole Nark, Arkansas real estate broker, and welcome back to my channel with videos to help you find your way home. So let's start off by talking about what an appraisal actually is. Investopedia defines an appraisal as a valuation of property such as real estate by the estimate of an authorized person. The authorized appraiser must have a designation from a regulatory body governing the jurisdiction of the appraiser. In everyday terms, an appraisal is done by an appraiser for residential real estate. And it is done for the purposes of protecting the lender who is giving you, as a home buyer, the loan. That's all that fancy definition or a real estate appraisal really even means. Now, appraisals can actually come in higher than the purchase price, at the purchase price, or even below the purchase price. Some of the reasons that an appraisal might come in low are for things like bid wars. In active sellers markets where there's a limited amount of inventory, but tons of buyer competition, and in that case, the purchase price may be escalated higher than the property is worth or the appraised value. Seasonality also can cause the appraisal to come in low. When there is less competition in the market, for example, in winter time, there are less buyers usually trying to buy, and homes sell for lower prices than in springtime when the real estate market usually gets super active again. So if you're buying a house in springtime and the price is a little bit higher because the market is very active, appraisers may use recent sales from the winter time in order to justify that price, and the appraisal actually may come in below contract price. You as a buyer do not get to choose your appraiser. They are given to you at random from the bank, and they are assigned to your transaction. So of course, appraisals can just come in low as well due to bad appraisals done by appraisers who may not be super familiar with the area or the specific features that the home you're under contract on has to offer. So if you find yourself in this situation where you happen to be under contract on a house and the appraisal comes in low, what are your options as a first-time home buyer? Your lender is not going to give you any more money than the loan-to-value ratio on the appraisal price. So it doesn't matter. Let's say, for example, you had offered $200,000 on a house and the appraised value comes in at $190,000. Then they're going to do their loan figures on $190,000. It should be your primary goal at that point and the best situation for you to try to negotiate that seller drops the purchase price to that appraised value of $190,000. Now, an argument could be made here that this would be in the seller's best interests as well, because appraisals, when they are done, they do stick with the property. So it would be advantageous for both you as the buyer to get the property that you wanted for a lower price, as well as for the seller to go ahead and sell at the appraised value, because if the house did not appraise with your appraiser and your loan, odds are that any other buyer that comes through that needs to use a loan to buy that property will probably run into the same situation and the appraisal will come in low. So that is always a really good negotiation tip to remember. If a seller does have a lot of demand for their property, or if they have multiple offers on the table and maybe have already accepted even a backup offer, they may stick firm at their contract price and not drop it to the appraised value. So if you find yourself in that situation, don't think that it's automatically going to kill the deal. You do still have some options. If the seller is refusing to drop the price to meet the appraised value, it would be on you as a buyer, if you want to continue this real estate transaction, to cover the difference between the appraised value and your contract price. So if that is maybe $1,000, that may not seem like a huge deal. But if your appraisal comes in and it's $10,000 or $15,000 below your contract price, we could be talking about a large chunk of change here. Now remember, the lender is not going to give you any more money than that appraised value. So whatever that difference is would be up to you as a buyer to cover. So you would likely either need to have cash that you can cough up and bring to the closing table to cover the difference. Or there is another situation where you may be able to rework your loan to look at some other loan options and see how you can play with the available cash that you have. Let's say that you are using a conventional loan and you are going to put 10% down payment on the house, and your appraised value comes in lower than the contract price and the seller is not willing to budge on the purchase price. What you could do is you could talk to your lender about dropping from putting 10% down payment in to maybe a 5% down payment. Then instead of putting all of that cash to your down payment, you would put some of your available cash to the down payment, and you could use that other cash to close the gap between your appraised value and the purchase price. If you and the seller cannot come to some type of an agreement where either they are dropping the price to the appraised value or you are covering the difference, you will most likely have to walk away from the deal. This is not the ideal situation, of course, but sometimes it does happen. So just be aware that especially during sellers markets, where there's lots of competition and potential bidding over list price on homes, that your appraisal could come in low. And if you have concerns, always talk to your realtor about it. And it's great to set up a plan on the front end about how you will handle that situation if it does come up when you are under contract. Share this video on social media so that any of your friends who are also considering buying a home this year know what to do if they find themselves in this situation. For more of my honest advice for first-time home buyers looking to purchase this year, check out this video where I outline really what I am experiencing right now, representing buyers like yourself in this market, and how we are handling the real estate market that is pretty unprecedented from previous decades. I will see you in the next video.